Everybody's attention. The City of Romulus Board of Zoning Appeals are for regular meeting for Wednesday, February 4, 2026 will come to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is our roll call. We'll start with Mr. McAnally.
Here.
Mr. Gadois. Here. Mr. Lloyd.
Present.
Kathy Hood.
Present.
Present. And Sheldon Chandler's present. So we have full board.
With 2 new members, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do have 2 new members, Kathy Hood, Dan McAnally. And welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Item 3 is approval of the agenda for this meeting.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Support.
I have a motion by Mr. Lloyd, supported by Mr. McAnally, to approve the agenda for this evening. Take a roll call vote. Mr. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Mrs. Hood?
Yes.
Ms. Hood? And Dan Gadois?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The agenda has been approved for this evening. Item 4 is approval of the minutes for the Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting held in December of 2025.
Motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on December 3rd, 2025.
Support. Motion by Mr. Lloyd, supported by Mr. Gadois, to approve the minutes of the December 3rd, 2025 meeting. Take a roll call vote. Mr. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Gadois?
Yes.
Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
You want to approve the minutes too?
Yes.
Ms. Hood, and the chair votes yes. Item 5 under old business. A is BZA 2025-007, Mr. Tire and Brakes. Let's get this way here. We have petitioners for Mr. Tire and Brakes, that's BZA 2025-007. The location is 6363 Middle Belt Road. The DP numbers 80-002-002-0004-003. And the applicant is Hussein Khalil, Mr. Tire, and Carolyn Aratano, property owner. Their request is a use variance in accordance with section 22.03. That's the powers and duties. D, use variances of the City of Romulus zoning ordinance to utilize the property as a tire and brake shop. The property is zoned C2, general business, where vehicle-related uses are prohibited. The project is an auto repair and tire service. Would the petitioners come forward to the podium?
Good evening.
Well, welcome again. Okay, well, your meeting was postponed from the last meeting because we didn't have a full board at the time.
Right, this action will require approval from 3, and there were only 3 members here, so the applicants elected to request the meeting be postponed, so until we could have a full board.
So we got a full board now, so we're starting over. I guess to start with, I have a letter from Ear Center Audiology and it's referenced by Carolyn Aretano.
Yes.
This is your letter.
I have a hearing issue. I had an aneurysm in my ear and.
Did you want,
Hearing.
oh, excuse, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry? I didn't hear you.
Would you want, do you have a copy of this, will you?
Do I?
Do you- I'm gonna read this into, just because we got it, ma'am. It'll be part of our record, and I think it's a good letter. It's referenced by Carolyn Aretano, 34-738 Powers, Dearborn Heights, Michigan. And the letter is, to whom it may concern. Carolyn Aretano is a patient at our clinic and has been diagnosed with a I don't know if I can pronounce that word, sensorineural hearing loss bilaterally with speech discrimination ability, and receives audiological service for this hearing impairment. This hearing loss will significantly interfere with the individual's ability to understand speech in anything less than ideal acoustic conditions. Speech understanding will be especially difficult when individuals are not directly facing the individual. Large rooms will be extremely challenging, as well as any kind of situation with background noise. Zoom meetings present much bigger challenge for the hearing impaired. If the patient must attend court, it is highly recommended that this be in person, and it's signed by, I believe you.
The doctor.
A lot of us have some sort of hearing problems, and so I think it's very important for people to speak directly into our microphones and as loud as we possibly can to get the message across. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can, thank you.
All right, well,
The first meeting, I didn't hear the opposing people clearly, and that's why I brought that, just in case. I just have a hard time hearing.
I have to apologize. I wasn't aware of that at the other
No,
meetings.
that's- I understand it.
But I think it's very important to speak loud enough for people to understand what you're saying. So we'll do our best.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add too, for the people in the audience, if you would refrain from talking while the meeting is going on, and especially addressing the board from your seats, you'll need to come up and just talk right into that microphone. And that would be very, very helpful for us tonight. Thank you.
We had quite a bit of discussion over your petition, and we've got letters from Carlisle Wortman. Been a lot of research by the planning department. A lot of pro and con over this request. Did you have anything up that you'd like to add to what we've already talked about? Anything new?
Well, I wanted to talk about this letter from them, and, you know, my friend said this to me, that there's so many empty buildings in Romulus, they need a new analyst. I mean, honestly, there are so many empty buildings. However, this property is unique to the building. It has always been, since 1956, auto, and it's 20 feet for a parking lot is extremely narrow. Okay, so this property is unique to, it's 20 feet for the parking, and driving in and out of the 20 feet area and parking in that area is, you can't do it. This building has been an auto repair for 60 years. It's been under a C1, then a C2. The hardship here is the parking. If you can't utilize the building for cars, to be put in the building. There is no parking outside. The parking, and the way that this building was built, when it was built for auto, and all the parking is inside of the building. So they reference in here, they reference that there was 5 individuals, including 4 real estate professionals and 1 unsigned letter. Well, it wasn't a letter. I sent documentation. It wasn't a letter. I sent, thank you. I sent documentation and pictures, and they said they didn't get diagrams, but they did. Because I know they got the whole package that you got. And so I have 1 letter from a realtor. He's a commercial realtor, and he's on the BZA board in Taylor. He wrote me that letter. He came and looked at that building and the parking and everything. I got another letter from, he's a commercial realtor, and he was the chief of police here in Romulus for 17 years. Another letter is from a top commercial realtor in the area, and I have another letter from, he's not only a realtor, he's the broker of the company. So it's not like these people don't know what they're doing. They definitely know what they're doing. And they say that it's not clear why I would have a realtor. Well, to be clear, it's a unique building that has only been used in brake shop. That's their analogy on the building. And you know, we go to real estate agents for appraisals. If you want your house appraised, I mean, I realize you go to an appraisal, but the appraisal has to get the information from the realtor or some kind of real estate person. So I wanted to comment on that. So the parking, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I just want to make sure that it's understood. You could park like 13 cars in that building. I mean, it goes on and on. But you can only park 5 cars legally outside. I mean, I'm just saying legally, per the city. And I have pictures to show you if you did park outside. If you had a car parked along the fence, which you could park only 3, and then you have a car coming in, that car has got to turn around and come back out, and you can't bring a passenger because you got to park close to the fence so that they can go in and out. I mean, it's just, seems to be nuts. Okay, so they say in number, let's see, page 3. Okay. They say, combined with the existing building location creates difficulties meeting parking requirements. Well, and then they say, they go on to retail office, and to use it as retail office, you couldn't use that building for truly nothing but auto, because if you can't park in the building, which was the building was designed for, there is no parking. The property is only 66 by 120. That's it. The houses in back of me have more land than I do. That's why they're, okay. So then they state that the square footage of the building is 3,280. The city says the building is 3,377. Did they not look? I mean, they didn't get that right. The building's a little bit bigger than what they're saying. Not that that matters a whole lot, but they got that wrong, and that's at the city. They should have got that right. And then they do go on to say, and then they do go on to say that this has been an auto parking and inside the building. It was a successful business for 60 years. That's the only thing that's ever been in that building. For 60 years, it was auto, and it was successful. Then they reference back to six parking spots. They reference that idea of working it into a C2. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, so then they say on page 3 here that it makes me crazy when I think they raise the building. And so then they say, part of the issue in this case is location of the building and not the use. Well, it doesn't change. How do you separate that? You can't change the building. The building's concrete already there. So, okay, so then their comment at this bottom of the page was, while the above has been stated in narrative form, no evidence have been provided. I provided evidence. I provided pictures, I provided the survey, I provided the new parking. They wanted drawings, but pictures say 1,000 words. And then they say that there's no exceptional situation. Well, how could it not be exceptional if to conform, to raise the building? Don't you think that's exceptional? Raise the building to conform? I mean, that's kind of exceptional, I would think. Yeah, they say the site has no exceptional topographic or environmental conditions. Well, raising the building, this is exceptional. Okay, so, it's not a challenge of parking. There is no parking. There is no parking. If it was a C2 and you had to have customers parking their own cars, you only have 5 in any manner. And to drive in and drive back, and then you have to turn around and come back out, or back out. And I don't know a whole lot of people that can back out other than their driveway. I mean, most people can drive forward, but not a whole lot can drive backwards very well, if for a long distance, which would be approximately 100 feet. Probably more than that, because then you have county there. And the master plan for the city is to make it a single family residence. How would you do that? make it a single-family restaurant. You know, they have the bar down a block or so, and but I did walk that area. I did every single block, every single house. I went for 3 weeks to try to make sure I got every person. And the people down that are behind the bar, you know, they were, because I was talking about, you know, the noise and all this. They said they ought to live on this block because that noise goes on all night long. Not that he was complaining, because he said, if it gets too loud and it gets too crazy, he just calls over there and they're very nice about it, and they turn it down at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so that was good. That at least he has that. And so then I had the 4 letters, and then I'm assuming that you read all my stuff. So with that said, I wanted to show you the pictures. Oh, so it was brought up because I did have somebody in that building when I originally got it. I did have somebody in the building called. So then in March, I started my eviction. I know this doesn't pertain to it. It only pertains because of the opposing people. This guy, he was horrible. Believe me, he was horrible. But I started, when I found out that he wasn't calling the city, I went back to him and I told him, you have to call the city. You have to get this done with the city. I gave him a week. He didn't do it. I gave him the eviction notice, and then I ended up giving him a 30-day notice because then he's gone. I decided he had to go. So I started this. Then the court date was April, and then actually he had to be out by April, and then our court date was May the 16th. And then after that, he has 10 days. I got lucky. I spoke to his wife, and she got him to leave on May the 6th is when I finally got the property back. I had the police escort me back into the property. You know, I'm sorry it took so long, but that's how the court works, you know. But I did get him out. But I wanted to say, here's my surveys. I have one that is for a C2. This one shows 2 parking spots in the back, 3 on the side, and that's it, legally. I mean, you could park inside a lot easier. But also, this door right here opens out. So the people that are coming in, you can't even tell that they're coming. It opens out, and you can, it's only 20 feet. My truck, I have a truck, I have an F-150 2018. From mirror to mirror measures 8 feet, 1 inch, we'll just call it 8 feet. 8 feet, so if you got 2 trucks, that's 16 feet. And try to open the door, have a passenger to open the door. And that's only if you park right on the fence. So that's, the city requires 24 feet for a parking space for parallel parking. Am I saying that right? And trucks measure 18 feet, so. But then you got traffic going in and out. You need this, you need this space back here, if you go back, to turn around. And you can't turn around in one turn. You gotta turn, back up, turn around, good, or back out. And if it's for auto, it's, and here's the picture of where the door is open if you have traffic coming in, here's a car here and 2 trucks, and it's 20 feet to park. So you're going in and out. There's nothing feasible about going in and out, and I'm showing you. Before, the fence just recently went up, I'll say within months ago. I think it was like September, I don't know exactly. But prior to that, I had that building in May, and I started working on it, and people were stopping to look at the building. I had a lot of people stop and look at the building. That was before the fence. And even before the fence, they realized there was no parking there. So I am surprised that, well, I'm grateful he's still here to run a tire business and get that building generated with business. I even sent the CW people, I sent them, thank you, John. I sent them the information, just in case, I didn't want to have to look it up, the information about what is available for parking and how that goes. And then I sent them the use and the numbers of how many parking spots that you need for it. And then I wanted to get some signatures of how people in Romulus felt. I started going door to door in the area. I started, and actually I went to the senior center, and I went to the senior center on the 2nd of October. I was here on the 1st of October, and this company, Carlisle, this company, in every statement it said, need more information, something to that effect. Every sentence after it said, need more information. And that's when I asked to postpone it, because if I haven't provided what they wanted, I wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to provide as much information that I could. So then, I think her name was Chris, got up and brought this letter. And so I thought, well, I'm going to get signatures to see how the pulse of Romulus is. I started with going like behind, well, I started with the senior center, and amazingly enough, they said, there's too many empty buildings. That was their big issue, the whole thing. They were playing bingo across the street from the apartments, and their whole thing, the whole area, all of them there, were talking about all the empty buildings, and the mayor had come October the 1st to talk to them, and that was their main topic, was all the empty buildings in Romulus. And then I started going to the neighborhood. Well, you can't go to the neighborhood during the day. Nobody answers their door. They have rings, and they answer like that. And I was trying to get signatures. I did get some, and then I did the area, started doing the area at 5 Points. And then my friend, Mike, said to me, I went to the bowling alley, and the guy, you know, opening the tire shop, which it says right on there, opening a tire shop. And then I went to Blue Sky, and I got a lot of signatures there, but there's a lot of people that are coming into town, and so from way far away, and they're not really, they're just passing through, so I didn't do that very much. However, I did concentrate on the area behind the shop. I did concentrate on that. And there, I went on the weekends, during the week, I went for 3 weeks, 3 weekends, I went there. One of the first blocks that I walked, a guy came to the door and, he signed my thing and he was saying, yeah, and the guy over here on the corner's got got 2 pole barns. He's always got cars there. He does a lot of work. He's somewhere on Wick, he's had a business. Okay. And you know what, quite honestly, I don't really care that he's there. I don't care one way or another. It don't bother me. He actually walked to the sidewalk to make sure that I knew exactly what house it was. Okay, so then I did another block. There was another guy who walked outside in his yard to make sure that I knew which house he was that he was talking about. And then a lady came out on her porch to show me exactly the house where this guy works out of his house. And again, I don't really care. It don't matter to me. But my point is, he's doing auto repair, he does tires, he does oil change, he does everything. And he keeps everything inside of his building. Everything's nice and neat, which I have pictures of. I have topical pictures, and I have pictures of just the outside. Actually, his garage used to face Jones Street. He turned his garage around, and he enclosed his whole lot. So the people that signed this petition, there were 8 of them that is either they get their car fixed there to speak, and I was confused, and Sal got up to speak. I was kind of confused because I was sitting back there, and of course she was facing the front, and I couldn't really hear. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even know, because what happened was, when she got up, I didn't hear anybody tell me to sit down. I didn't hear that, so her and I were like, and she said to me, sit down. I said, okay, so I did. But I'm just saying, the people that get their car fixed, listen, in Michigan, we are the first in the world. We are the first in the world to have 1 mile of paved road. We need our cars. We depend on our cars. We're the Motor City capital here. So we need our cars. I understand they go there. I understand that. Not only the people there go to him, people downtown knows that he's there. They know him by name. Several people, not only 1 or 2. There were several people. And the people at the bowling alley, they all know he's there. Everybody knows he's there. So, and again, I don't care. Really.
Ms. Aratano,
Yes.
the biggest interest we have right now is the zoning of that property.
I know, and I'm sorry if I'm getting...
No,
off key.
I welcome you to do that. But
The only reason I'm going into this is because I was trying to address the Carlisle people. Then I was trying to address the letter that you received. So I was trying to address that. And believe me, I know, it's just noise and parking. I want to say on page 44, I was going into the city continuously looking for property, and I got actually 5 of these. I got 5 of these of different property that is in Romulus. I got 5 of them, and so people started to know me at City Hall. And one day I went in there, and somebody at the assessor's office gave me this. This was in August, it actually was August of 26th. They gave me this because I was in and out. I was going downstairs where Anna is to get these. I was going to get land pictures. They gave me this and said, you should look at this building. This building's been a tire shop forever. And you should go look at it. I did. I drove by. I seen all this stuff. semis, of dump trucks, a tree growing out of the dump truck. It was ugly, nasty, I didn't like it. And quite honestly, the hardware store, which I don't even know what it is, the hardware store, the grass was 3 feet high in the back, and they're the ones that gave me this. And I assumed that it was a tire shop prior, so it didn't occur to me to go to the building department. It didn't occur to me. I thought when they gave me but I got one more signature, 58, but I got one more signature, 58. I got 58, and then the 10 that are on this that are either working or getting their car fixed, and they told me that, I got all these signatures. I think I have 167, I forgot. I have it written down, but I don't even think that John even realizes the parking situation at that building, because I went to talk to him, he answered the door shaking his head no, which is fine, that's okay. And he said to me, you need to get some 2x4s and drywall and put in 8 booths for craft, because his girlfriend does craft there, does craft work. I said, there's only 5 parking spaces outside the building. That's it, 8. So I know. So the best fit for that building is auto. It's a garage.
Well,
Do you want-
thank you for that, what you had to say.
I'm sorry.
In a company for 3 years called Just Brakes. They only do tires and brakes, very professional. I learned a lot of good stuff that how to keep the number one priority is our neighbors, being comfortable, keeping the place clean, running a clean, honest business. That's what I envisioned. I mentioned that to Carolyn when we first met about the building. And I feel since this building has been nothing but auto repair shop or a tire shop. It's with the 4 big bays, the doors that are there, the 2 in front, 1 on the side rather, and the doors, it's tailor-made for tire shop, auto repair, and I feel that we should, hopefully we can get it back to the original zoning that it was. And basically, we plan to run a good business in a wonderful city of Romulus. It's sad to see that building being vacant for so long. And basically, that's all. I just want to thank you for your time and for considering us, allowing us to do business. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this point in time, let's close this portion and open it up. Is anybody in the audience, public, that care to comment, make a statement or whatever? This gentleman here?
I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Because I have improved it so much. When I asked them about it, and they said, oh yeah, the building looks so much better than what it did. I don't want to be judged on what other people did. I'm not other people. Just saying.
Thank you so much.
This gentleman right here had his hand up first.
My name
All right,
is
go
Jim
ahead.
Brady. I'm a Romulus resident.
All right, good. Speak right into the microphone, please. Your name?
My name is Jim Brady. I'm a Romulus resident.
Okay.
And I believe that the master planner rezoned this property improperly back when it was empty and there was no business in it. And it was, they didn't take into account of the building itself and what it was. It's a big garage. And it was actually made for this, for tire and brake repair. And I believe that you should give it the variance back that it had when it had those businesses in it. I believe the master planner just made a mistake. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This gentleman?
Good evening, my name is John Harper. I own the property directly behind the said property. I know that I've heard her input on the deal. I myself went around and got petitions, and I dealt with the neighboring petitions that lived directly behind the building. I didn't go out and get petitions deep in the neighborhood. I didn't go to the anywhere else to get it because they don't live there. We live there. And I feel I've been there for 16 years, and I feel that I've been through the actual owner and then another renter. Things start going sideways and it's already rezoned. It just leaves the door open for somebody else to come in there and do the same thing. So I am very opposed to the idea. I'm not opposed to anybody making money or making a living or making money off their property. But right behind us is a residential area. We don't need it. We don't want the rodents. We don't want the different things that are gonna bring it in. We just don't want it. And I think that you guys had the written petitions that I turned in a couple of times ago. So I thank you for your time tonight.
We're not going to rezone that property. It's not going to be rezoned.
Okay.
This would be a variance to the zoning.
I'm all against.
Well, I understand that,
shopping.
but we're not going to rezone that. It's going to stay, the zoning is going to stay the same.
Mr. Chandler, if I may, just point of clarification for my benefit being new. In this situation where we're changing the use for this, tied to this business particular, correct? Let's say that this person left that building, that would no longer be in effect. Am I right about that?
So that's where, if you were going to entertain approving this, is we would want you to get into some conditions that would be associated with it, and that could be a condition that would go along with the use variance. Oftentimes, if you you could go the way that you're talking about, that, yep, we're gonna deem this piece of property for a use as a tire and brake repair shop.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
This gentleman?
I overheard the concerned neighbor, and if there's any way we could put contingencies, like Carolyn was saying.
Good, I'm sorry, we're speaking.
Conditions, any conditions, I'm willing to go along with them in regard to if there's ownership change or anything that will be a negative effect to the neighbors. I'm willing to work with my neighbors to make sure they're comfortable and there's no such thing as trucks and noises and all that. All our work will be performed inside.
Well,
And if I ever sell the place, if I ever move out of the place, I'm willing to accept that it will go back to the retail zoning, so.
The
I plan to be
zoning's
there
gonna stay
for
the same.
100 years, yes, sir, if
And-
they allow me and my kids.
And anything that would go, ordinance violations or something like that could affect their variance, I believe. You know, if, like stacks of tires and improper
See,
cars.
that aspect of things, we haven't even entertained. What would, if you were going in a direction of approving this use, you would probably want to talk about site plan approval, going through the whole process of, coming up with a development agreement, pulling the attorneys in, get something drafted.
And we got to the tires, and I'm willing to put that as a contingency also. All tires will be inside. I have enough room inside to keep all my old tires and recycle them properly. I have a company that picks them up. I have the name in my documents.
No.
There's a bunch of recycling companies that come and pick them up from your door, nothing sitting outside, so. and
No
if you
work
didn't-
out of the building?
No work out of the building, absolutely none. And again, I'll sign to that as a contingency to be able to perform my type of business.
Are you going to have any kind of signage? And-
Minimum signage, I'll have just a tire shop on the front, I'll say Mr. Tires or Brakes.
Nothing out by the door or the road?
No, I don't need nothing on the road or poles or anything like that. Just on the building, little, mostly LED sign, and the front, little one on each side, just to show we're open.
The board members, got any questions?
I have a
Mr.
question.
McEnroe?
You mentioned site plan. Is this not a reoccupancy? Would there be a site plan at
It
this
is,
point?
but if you wanted to, that's all something that you all would talk about, that we would have a discussion with you about. If you're gonna entertain approving it, we'd wanna see, how that parking's gonna be laid out. They've supplied stuff, as you see, they're kind of marked up things, but you would want something done by a licensed engineer.
No, I agree.
Something
They would
that
need
you're.
to have some
You want
draft.
accurate dimensions, you're gonna, they would have to go through the process, you see it all the time in your world on planning commission, and there have been times that the board has sent use variances to the planning commission for review, sometimes they've been letting us do them administratively, it's all gonna be what level of comfort, you guys have. Certainly, it is something we could do administratively, because the building is there.
We've got tire shops like Bell Tire and up. Then we've got some, like the one on E-Course and Wayne Road. It's quite a variety. And they're busy. There's tires wear out, people need tires all the time. So, depends on where you want to go get your tires. I look at this as, talk about a site plan and everything. It's not as though we're discussing a 500,000 square foot building or acreage and that kind of stuff. A small tire repair shop. I think we had people investigating it, petitions, two different points of view here from Carlisle, Wortman. This one here is from Hardcore Capital Investments. Many pages, pictures. It's just a matter of boiling it down to practicality, I think. That's just my own opinion, but I just thought I'd say that. If there's any other questions, comments from the board members?
I think there's a gentleman who wants to speak.
Is there somebody else? Did you want to speak on? Yes. Oh, okay. Come up, give us your name.
My name's Jeff Salsider. One of the letters in your file is from me. I'm from Hardcore Capital Investments.
Oh,
I'm licensed in the state of Michigan as a real estate broker and a builder. So I'm not going to reread the letter that you already have in your file, but there's a couple of points I'd like to discuss, if I may. It appears that there was a variance to C3 on this property, as you already probably know, and it expired due to abandonment of the property from the prior owner of the property. It appears that initial variance that has expired may have been granted based on the fact that it was an existing building that was in conflict with a subsequent zoning ordinance change. Based on your own research or your own analysis, C2 zoning on this building would require 13 parking spaces. There is physically not enough space in the lot around that building to place 13 parking spaces. With a variance to the C3 and the intended use of the applicant, there is adequate space to put the required amount of parking that would be required for that use of the building in the space provided. And it appears that was, at the time, seemed the only viable resolution to the issue of the conflict with the ordinance. So the alternatively, and what was proposed in here, to raise the building or demolish the building, I mentioned in my letter that there wouldn't be the adequate return on investment. And the response said, well, what's the required return on investment? But to actually do that, you're already into the building for over $300,000 just to acquire the building. And you're talking about another couple $100,000 to demolish it, clear it, and haul it away and regrade the land. So there's a $500,000, probably another $500,000 in site work and underground work to get the infrastructure tied in, to build a smaller building in order to provide adequate parking according to the ordinance, which will cost probably another $1 million. So most people don't have that kind of money to invest in a property of this type. And I mean, I don't know if you do, but if you were to invest in this particular property to demolish and rebuild a building, just to recover the investment, I mean, what type of C2 business could you have there to generate enough annual revenue even just to recover the $2.5 million you've put in to rebuild a property? Whereas with this variance, you can acquire the property and it's no different than was already in the neighborhood and is providing a service and revenue. Otherwise, you have what was left before, a building and a junkyard and a disposal for semi-trucks and tractor trailers and the like. So with this, allowing this business with the requirements that are listed in the analysis for a C3 type zoning, you would have adequate parking for 1 or 2 service bays if you had to, and the 1 or 2 employees that they would have. And there's a number of configurations that you could use to do that. But again, on the investment, it's not feasible or practical or even reasonable to expect someone would buy the property and invest $2.5 million to start a business that they couldn't get any return or even recover their investment. Again, the only viable solution is to allow the variance for use and continue to have a viable property. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, my name's Jason Cooper, just a concerned citizen. It seems to me that as much as I know about government and cities and all that, we like tax dollars. I don't see anybody else here offering to put anything there to generate any kind of tax dollars for the city. So, I mean, it seems to me like a business wants to go there and, you know, generate revenue for the city itself to the police and the fire department, or it sits vacant and it generates nothing for no one. I mean, seems like clear to me, you know? Money or no money. Don't make dollars that doesn't make sense, right?
Good point.
Thank you.
Good point. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is George Many. I've been a resident for 40 years here in Romulus. I live downtown on Goddard. We don't need any more empty buildings in Romulus. You can drive through here and count 100 empty buildings in our community. We need to put in businesses that can thrive and move forward and help us make our community a better place. The United States was founded on small businesses by hardworking people who put their hard-earned money into investments to try to make it and make it a better place in their communities. This is what we need now. We don't need a large corporation to come in. We don't need to tear this building down. How long did it take this woman to get $300,000 to buy the property and the equipment that she needed? Under the auspice that this had been, for 56 years, a tire and mechanical shop. What we need is to put local people to work, get rid of our empty and deleted and worn down buildings that no one is using that are eyesores. She came in, turned the building around, cleaned the property, painted the building, brought everything up to code. She should be rewarded for this, to trying to bring in a small business, which would give 4 or 5 people employment and clean an eyesore up in the community and lessen our load by one less empty building. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
John Rezak, Carlton, Michigan. How I got into this, I was a friend of Carol's for years. She called me to have some work considered on the building. I was a building inspector in the city of Malverdale from 79 to 89. I sat on the zoning board of appeals when I wasn't building inspector. I want to commend you people for the work you do, because I know it takes a little patience. So my question is, when did the zoning ordinance get amended? We went from C1 to C2?
Yes.
So the building was existing there when it was amended, right?
Yes, the building was existing.
It does sound like in order to get adequate parking, if you're gonna have retail or something, you require much more parking per square foot of building. And when the city did that, they created a hardship. And why are variances granted? One reason the building code says is, and I am currently a building inspector in the city of Malverdale. I went back to it after I retired from being a carpenter. So it says in the building code, it says that they're granted for hardships. And it does look like there's a hardship here, so you people are well within your right to grant that. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nobody else who would care to speak on this, we'll open it up to the board members for any questions or comments at this time. I guess there was some concern about the interior of the building, what kind of tooling was in there, but I think we've pretty much addressed on that. But any questions from the board members?
The only question that I had, and I think he answered it, was the number of employees, which he said 1, possibly up to 3. Because that delineates how many parking spots you need for employees.
I guess it depends a little bit on the amount of
The
work
amount
they get. Yeah.
of work coming in.
So, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Lloyd.
a few comments. Can you hear me okay? All right, so I took a lot of notes, so bear with me. So I agree that there was a variance to allow this business to operate under the parameters of C3 before it was rezoned as a C2. And it seems like when the property was acquired, the assumption was that the variance would be extended to allow to operate under the old parameters versus looking for a conforming use under C2. So my challenge here is that I'm not sure the work has been done to see if there is a usage that could be used for this building under C2 versus the hope and the desire to just use it as a tire shop, because that's the relationship that you guys have is to have it work as a tire shop. I don't know if the diligence has been done to see if there's any other conforming use under C2 that could be utilized here.
Mr. Lloyd, if I could interrupt for 1 minute, I just want to get something straight in terms of the zoning history.
Sure.
It wasn't outlined clear in your, in the Carlisle-Wortman report, but I do want to get some dates on records, just so
Okay.
you all have a better understanding of what happened here. So, in 1961, this was Romulus Township, it was not even a city. The property was zoned C1, local business, in auto repair, public garages were permitted in C2s, but the property was zoned C1 in 1961. So the use would not, it had just different words. It had this different auto repair and public garage was permitted in a C2, not in a C1. So 1961. In 1966, however, a certificate of occupancy was issued for the building for somebody by the name of Max Litke. Any of you guys know that name? In 1971, when the city became a city, it appeared to be Zone C3, but the information wasn't clear on the map. The line, the property is so small, and the line, it couldn't be distinguished. In 1976, a certificate of occupancy was issued to Middle Belt Tire Service, which was a tire repair business. So we know in 1976, there was indeed a tire business there. In 1982, automotive engine and body repair was considered a special land use in the C3 district. So what I'm doing is giving you history on what was actually out there and what was happening with the zoning ordinance changing. So in 1983, the property went to C2. In 1987, it was Zone C2. In 1988, the property was sold by Mr. Litke to Robert Hamilton. So what was happening at this time from 66, when Mr. Litke had this C of O, the zoning changed, but it was the same owner. So he was allowed to continue on. And apparently he is linked to this Middle Belt Tire Service business that did get a C of O in 1976. So the property sold to Mr. Hamilton, and in 98, the zoning ordinance in 1998, the auto engine and body repair was allowed in both C2 and C3, and the property was Zone C2. There's a permit pulled. In 2001, there was a zoning map change, and the property became C2. At this time, automotive uses were not permitted in C2, they were in C3 only. In 2002, a business registration application came in, and PCR Truck Tire was in there, and there's a note in the building department files that says this is a C2 zoning district and this use is not permitted. In 2000, and then we have a big jump. There's nothing that was recorded in city files between 2002 and 2011. In 2011, the building was deemed vacant. There was a reoccupancy application for light automotive repair by Mr. Roger Owens. Minor vehicle repair was not permitted in the C2 district. However, the determination that the previous occupant, Middle Belt Tire Service, performed minor vehicle repair created an existing non-conforming status and therefore approved. So it was approved by the building department in 2011. In 2016, there were a couple enforcements that happened, just some code stuff. It sounded like this use was in and out, and in 2018, the tenant moved out. So the property sat vacant, which means when a property sits vacant, it lost that non-conforming status that it had. So that's why in 2024, when the property sold, it had been vacant. There was no C of O there, so that's why it lost its status to C2. So even though the building was physically built for this use, and there was some question back and forth, in those real early days, there was eventually a certificate of occupancy issued for this use. However, the bigger issue is that because of this gap in time when nobody had a C of O in there, that automotive use, which is not permitted in the C2 district, was not allowed to continue. So that's where it's a little tricky, and there are some holes in the records. Believe me, trying to read scribble, trying to read maps, that when did this actually get zoned? But what we're banking on is this most recent thing, that this vacancy, that the tenant moved out as of April 5th, 2018. The property didn't sell until 2024. You have, what's the timing on is it 24 months? 24 months. So it was beyond the 24 months from 2018 to 2024. So now to reestablish that use, requires either a rezoning of the property, which would have been a spot zone, hence the reason we're here with the use variance request.
So first of all, thank you for that history. That's very helpful. I think without all that history, I think I understood that. So I understood that for the history of it, it was given that non-conforming use variance either directly or indirectly.
Right.
But then when it was lost, and now it comes to this board today, I look at it as we're kind of looking at it from scratch. We're looking at it from should we allow this variance to be granted to a new business, essentially? The history is the history, I understand it. But when you look at it from should we grant a business this variance issue, you look at the criteria for what we make the decision. Does the current zoning create hardships for the business? I would argue that possibly yes, right? I mean, the parking spaces for a C2 required is very difficult for the spot. So you could make the case for the hardship being created for the C2. But then when you get into some of the other criteria for why we would grant a variance usage, does the variance materially impair the intent or purpose of this ordinance for it being zoned C2? I think it may, right? And we've heard lots of commentary from surrounding neighbors, and even when you read the intent of what the C2 is supposed to establish, you can say, well, while a hardship may be created, it is also a potential that a variance granted here may impair the intent of the zoning. So you're left with a bit of a conflict there to say that, you know, I feel for the hardships created, but I also don't want to grant a variance that is in opposition of what the C2 is supposed to establish in the reason, understanding that that's not the historical zoning. So a lot of words, sorry about that, but I'll stop there and let if there's any other commentary.
That was good.
I think he's got a.
If I may, Jeff Salsider again, and thank you for the history, that was good, but by default, losing the variance that was placed was just because it was abandoned. But by definition, in the C2 ordinance, the property cannot comply with anything regarding parking in the C2 ordinance because there isn't adequate space around the building to even place that many parking spaces. So the only option without a variance is to tear down the building and build a new one, which is not practical or feasible or even reasonable. But not allowing a variance puts it in direct conflict with the C2 zoning, which I don't think was the intent of the C2 zoning. And again, the reason for the variance in the first place, so it could be compliant. And there are limitations, but I think they've been clear on what the business is going to be, and it's not going to be a hardship or a detriment to the neighborhood. It's actually an improvement. But as it stands, the only option under a C2 zoning is to tear the building down and build a smaller one, because you don't have space for adequate parking for a C2, for any C2 use, according to the analysis that was provided. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mechner?
So we're kind of rocking a hard spot here. You know, can we say the variance will not materially impair the intent of the ordinance? Well, okay, it could theoretically impair by causing problems to the residents behind there. At the same time, we're looking at, if we leave it as is, unnecessary hardship on the landowner because the property cannot really be developed as a C2 property. I've tried my best to figure out what you could do with the property with 2 parking spots, or less, depending on C2 use. So then you're stuck. We've just doomed this to be a vacant building for the rest of eternity until somebody tears down the hardware and makes that whole plot of land something viable. You know, we've got a maybe on one side and a definite on the other. And I'm kind of leaning towards the definite, which is we have a viable business, we hope. If we control it right and put enough stipulations on it, that it might be a good place to have. That's my thing. Now, it should be controlled, though. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Comments?
my name is George Many. I've been a resident here 40 years. It's a lot of back and forth about what should, what could, or what couldn't be done. But the main issue is, do we need and want another empty building, unoccupied, and not producing for our city? People who are moving in to bring other businesses in, larger businesses in, these are the things they look for when they come to buy a building or a piece of property. They look for blight in the community, non-changeable blight. They have lawyers look and see how long buildings have been sitting empty with no effort by anybody to change the situation. Do I want to bring my business in to a community that allows blight, that allows buildings that are unoccupied, that tear down the value of neighborhoods and lessen our market value in the county and in the state? I think the real point here is one of two things. You look at, she's made a $300,000 investment to come into our community. She owns homes in our community and has restored homes in the community. Are we willing to take a chance on someone who's putting their money up, their time, their effort to change a bad building and a bad situation into a positive one? Or are we willing to go with the status quo and just leave another empty building in our community? I think we need to give her the opportunity. She's came in, she's changed a very blighted building that was an eyesore into a building that is recognizable, can be a business, and be an asset in our community. It's not going to start a world community or any type of franchise situation. It's going to be what started America and made America great. A mom and pop business, a ground level business. But you need a lot more of them before you need great big corporations. And big corporations won't come in. The more blight you have, the more chance they'll go look somewhere else. So please, give her the chance. She's made a $300,000 investment and willing to put in more money and time into our community. We need more people like this, not less. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I want to ask, it changed from C1 to C2. And when it changed to C2 to make it auto, and it's been auto since it was C1. It's been auto.
So Carolyn, what we have to base our findings on and our timing on are certificates of occupancy. And when certificates of occupancy.
Correct.
Somebody that's legally in the building.
Correct.
So as of 2018, the tenant moved out. The tenant that had the non-conforming use had an automotive use in a building that was not zoned for it. They could continue, but they moved out. So the building went vacant in 2018. The property owner had 2 years, or a new property owner, 2 years, 24 months to get another automotive use in the building. They did not. So that kicks it into the use. Now we just go to the chart and look at the uses that are allowed in the C2 district. And, even though there is the building is there, it had been used, we know that, it had status before, it's all about timing of certificates of occupancy. So that's why this group has to decide whether, just what they're talking about, whether it meets the intent of the ordinance, and much of it will boil down to operations and conditions that they are entitled to put on this if they're considering granting it. But going back to what it was and when it changed from this zoning to that and who was in, it's all this period from 2018 until you bought the building in 2024.
So my question was, it went from a C1 and it was auto then, and it went to a C2, And because it was auto, they changed it to the C2.
We don't know what
Wait,
happened.
I just want to finish this.
I know,
I just want
but-
to ask this question. So,
So number one, we don't know that it went from this to that.
I'm sorry?
Okay, go ahead and
No,
ask
no,
your
say
question.
what you said,
Go
I
ahead,
did
nope,
not
nope,
hear
go
you.
ahead, nope, go ahead and ask
Please
your
tell me.
question, I'm sorry. Yeah, ask your question.
So that was my question. Is that true? That it's a yes or no, that's all. So it went to C2 because it was auto. So it was auto for into the 70s and into the 80s. It was auto because honestly, I didn't look at that building. I wasn't looking at that building. I had been in the city looking at different properties in Romulus for this. Between going to the assessor's office and downstairs to the city clerk to get those, to see what the property is. And this was given to me because they knew that what I was looking for, and they gave me that sheet in August. When I looked at it, and he's right, it was a mess. I didn't want that area. And then the hardware store was a mess too, and I'm thinking, I don't want to clean all that up. But as I looked, I came back to that. I came back to that because it was equipped, it had the equipment, it had everything. So my original question, I just wanted to know, is that how that went? It went from a C1 to a C2, and it did that because it was going to auto. That's all I was asking.
But there's
Yes,
not,
yeah.
not really an answer to that. The zoning and the
Okay.
timing, and again, it was all
Okay.
stuff it's kind of irrelevant to the discussion right now. If you guys, if we want to dig in for more
I've got
information on that.
So-
Question for you.
So, this property was empty for a long time because it has no parking. And it doesn't have any parking. When I got it finally back in May, I had a lot of people come and look at it. I had a guy that wanted to use it as a warehouse. He redoes houses, and he wanted to use it for that. But there's no parking. He has trucks and stuff that he fills up and goes out with. There is no parking. That's the big deal there. That's the big hardship. I had a guy who wanted to use it like electric for his electric company, but he has vehicles and there's no parking. There's no parking unless you use it for the inside. Just saying.
I got a question for you. Are you going to have new tire sales out of that facility?
New and used.
Uh,
They'll be new and used.
New, but you have a display of new tires and so
Oh,
on?
I haven't gotten to that.
So if I come in there, I want a set of tires, and what would I do?
They're all inside. We'll have products people can see, and all my inventory will be inside the building. I have plenty of room.
So it'll be sales and repair and
Yes, sir.
And
All inside the building, yes.
brake jobs?
Because every car has a different tire size. Every car you see on the road, even sometimes the two GMC trucks, they have different size, 16s, 17s. So they all gotta come in, and we're not gonna have inventory for everybody. They put them on order, the people come back the next day.
How about brake jobs? You have parts on stock?
No,
or
those
just
per order. They will call the auto parts store and,
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just was curious.
yeah, I wouldn't keep the brakes on. Again, that's another.
It's just as needed.
Yeah, as needed, yes.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of different, every car is different, so you're gonna have like a bunch of inventory sitting there you won't use for years. So we do per order.
What was a big surprise to me, it was, I never even knew this existed. People order tires online and bring them in. You would be surprised how many people do that. They order them, they get them at Amazon or Sam's Club or Costco's. They order them online, and then either, and what he was saying, he owns a different tire shop. They can have them delivered right to the shop. Mr. Jones, these are his tires. He's coming in Tuesday, you know? I was surprised at all the people that ordered tires online. Either they can have them sent to the shop, but a lot of people put them in their vehicles and bring them in. That's a big surprise.
Carol, would another certificate of occupancy be needed before anything?
No. Through the chair, to answer your question.
How is that-
Absolutely. Anybody, before they can operate, any business, it is required to have a certificate of occupancy in the city for sure.
Yeah, so that would be, and if they meet the building codes,
Yeah, they would basically, on a building that met the zoning that didn't require a use variance, so even if this use variance,
yeah,
no matter what happens here, they would have to, anybody who wanted to go in that building would have to do a reoccupancy.
Yeah.
They would also have to do a city cert inspections, apply for that, so
Yeah.
everybody go in there, inspect the building, make sure everything's up to code, everything passes on that, they would get a certificate of occupancy.
so that would be
Once-
still pending on this, if this was granted, they would have to go through.
They
that.
would have to go through those processes, yes, sir.
If this, like I said, if this were granted, we would outline some of these conditions for you that would need to happen.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the board members or suggestions?
Just, so, Mr. Chair, one question. Is there a picture or plan that shows the parking scenario under a C2 business versus your intended use of the business? Do I see that in there?
I thought I saw it, but.
Through the chair, I think I can answer that. So there isn't necessarily there's a plan kind of highlighting and showing what may possibly be used for parking. That's the only plan that there is. There's no plan that's actually showing parking and circulation on the property. And I will say, you guys have hit the nail right on the head on this one. It's a difficult one, right? If it was coming to planning commission today on an empty piece of parcel, we would never let that building get built right there because there's not the space to provide for parking and circulation and everything. On the other hand, that building is already there, right? I have been inside the building, I've looked at the building. The building's not in bad shape, but trying to figure out what could be used in that building and where the parking and circulation is gonna come from is very difficult for any use.
Yeah.
We do need to, what Jeff and I have been kind of talking about here is, I know it was by the property owner repeated over and over again, there is no parking there. So we really, we want to clarify that a little bit, because that no parking there is a different scenario than if there are some parking spaces that could be worked out as part of
The plan.
part of the plan, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're inside the building, whether there's a couple outside the building, whether, they get some approval to park in the county right away.
As defined, they would have to be defined parking spots.
Yes,
Yeah.
and from what it looks like, from what I see, is like when the building was built and when it was used a long time ago, before it became an existing non-conforming, that county road and that county right-of-way wasn't probably as far along as it was. Now the county right-of-way line comes right close to the building. So the way you see it designed, and if you look back at historical pictures, people would park right in front of the building. There's spaces there off of Middle Belt, but now that's all county right-of-way.
But the county has issued permits to park in there.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, I do have a sketch of a conceptual, where you could place parkings, and they may not all be approved, but I could show it to you if you'd like. It was really to establish the fact that there is no way 13 spaces could fit on that property, which is the requirement for a C2. So again, it's impossible to conform to C2 zoning without a variance allowing C3 and less parking. And the intended use, there is enough space for adequate parking, which would be required for the use in the variance. And I have some sketched here that's pretty much to scale.
How many spaces do you have?
Well, as was stated, only 5 or 6 can comfortably be put in, but to
Okay.
actually fit in the space, I've drawn 8, some of which may have to be eliminated for maneuverability and that sort of thing. You'd have to actually measure them to scale, but I can, are you?
No, actually, stay there, because all I want to do is I want to get this record cleaned up. She repeatedly said there's no parking, and I don't think that's
Well-
true, and I think you're kind of saying.
Well,
you-
the point is, there's not adequate parking for any C2
is
use.
there any-
Because based on the analysis, any C2 use for this building requires 13 spaces. There is not enough space in the parking lot at all to make 13 parking spaces. You couldn't even squeeze them together.
So are you?
So C2 use means tearing the building down and building a smaller one. It's in conflict with its own policy, is what I'm saying. So you need to grant the variance and then define what the use can be, and that's what we're trying to do here. Based on the C3 usage, 1 bay requires 2 spots and 1 per employee in the building. So there's adequate space to accommodate the needs of the intended use of the building. And this is just a possibility of where they could go and fit. But there's no trafficability for public parking, for pedestrians to drive around and find a parking spot. It would be someone coming with their vehicle, and the proprietors of the business would take the vehicle and either stage it or park it or bring it in and out of the building. So it wouldn't require maneuverability through the parking lot by the general public.
What we're trying to determine is if through operations that could be associated with this use variance that granted it, as opposed to being very technical with what's going on in the C3 district, which this isn't, if there could be, with limitations, some of these things could be achieved based on operations of number of employees, some of those things. So while we appreciate what you're doing, I think you're turning it into a kind of a very technical exercise.
Well, no, ma'am, I'm not. It's, by definition, the building requires 13 spaces, and you cannot put 13 spaces on that property, period. That's the point. So it has to be a C3, which allows a variability in the number of parking spaces based on the use. So we're trying to put together a use where there's adequate space for the required amount of parking. And that's what we're trying to propose. So if you wanted to...
Can you tell me how many vehicles can be in the building and being worked on it at a time?
Well, it depends on...
So you say you've got 1 or 2 employees. How many vehicles can you work on at a time?
2 cars.
Two?
Most cases, yeah, when we're at the
So-
time, busy time.
And what's the average amount of time it takes to change 4 tires?
About hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
About hour and a
So
half.
2 hours, that car can be out of there, right?
Yes, sir.
So where do you put those cars after you work on them?
Well, when we work on it, we have 2 bays. We have,
No, you've got 2 cars. Let's say you have 2 cars.
Okay.
And are the customers always waiting? I don't think so.
Now, most of our customers stay in their car. They stay in their cars. And we have a waiting room there. They can wait. There's a space inside the building where they can sit. There's a...
Yeah, we're trying to determine how long a car is going to be on your property.
Most
So
cars,
as far as
average cars,
parking,
about 15, 20 minutes.
So if you have 5 cars, you're screwed. You don't have any room on your property for them.
I wish Bell Tire or a Goodyear could do that. I wish I could have everything. We never have it in tire business 17 years. And in a small mom and pop and mom shop, we never have 5 cars on one time. Once in a million years.
But it's possible because you'll have employee cars plus customer cars plus any, it is plausible and possible that you could have that level of cars. To this point, you're going to be in a rough situation regardless to the type of business.
Yes, I mean, it did happen, but I've never experienced it when we had an issue with, but one of the basic 2-3 cars behind each other, we can make it work. Yes, when the customers can come in.
I mean, if you have a big car jam there, how do you maintain a fire lane or, for the emergency vehicles that need to respond in the event of
do it from the road.
of an accident or something?
So the challenge here is that problem exists regardless to the building type, just because of the layout.
It exists,
of
period.
the business. Right.
It's a tough
We
situation.
have 3 bays where cars can go in and go out. So if we have 3 cars at a time, I got actually 4 cars. We have the 1 bay on the side, it's a big bay, you can put 5, 6 cars inside of it. So if we have 1 or 2 cars, they can comfortably come in and get out.
Yeah, my concern was, if I was to bring my car in there and I want a set of Firestone tires, and you don't have the Firestone tires, can you get Firestone tires?
Yeah.
So how long would that take? So if you've got my car in there on the rack, and you're waiting for tires.
In this case, if somebody comes in, they want a Firestone, because they get these hundreds of brands. Firestone's a special order.
Okay.
So they take, the.
I guess we're trying to figure out, what kind of rotation you might have getting cars in there, tires changed and out of there.
Yes, up by appointment.
Yeah,
Somebody wants
it all
Firestone,
depends.
we got appointment,
It
they
just
come in at
depends.
2
The
o'clock,
situation.
they're out by 3:30.
This could go on for days.
Yeah.
So I don't let them just sit there.
That's
waiting
a-
for the
It's a
Firestone.
business,
This is going
it's
from the
kind of,
planning commission.
just concerned about
drawings,
this
conceptual drawings need to be
parking
done.
issue
Yeah.
comes up
That's
all the
what I
time,
think
you
is
know.
because
And you-
Conditions.
Well, it goes on, you're doing a brake job, you break a bleeder off, now you're stuck. You got a car on the hoist, you got 5 guys out front waiting for tires. I see this becoming a nightmare of parking.
That's what's gotta happen.
Because you're open to the public, you're not doing onesie twosies like the truck tire business. You're open to the public, hoping business from the street comes in. I'm very concerned about this parking situation, more than I was at the beginning of this meeting, I can tell you that.
And both of our bays, they hold 2 to 3 cars each, and the big bay can hold up to 4 cars, 4 or 5 cars. So we can have 10 cars in the building at the same time, in case we get into a.
How many?
Up to 10 cars,
10?
yes.
With 2 or 3
At the same
hoists in
time.
there, I think that's a
Like I
stretch.
said, that never happens unless you're super, super busy. That's a Bell Tire or a Goodyear store that does it. There's so many.
Then how do you
shops.
make money? I mean, somewhere in this, I'm losing it, because at some point you're driving customers away. Are you gonna make enough money to survive?
If I get 10 tires a day, we make money. 10, 15 new tires a day, we make money as a small shop. The overhead is a lot lower than, I have 1 employee, and then me and my son, we have 1 employer. So we run it, it's basically family-run business.
That's all I have.
Hey, Mr. Chair, one of the things that, did you close this public hearing? Because, I mean, we're entertaining we're doing a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
So are you still going to take comments?
Well, he's been up there several times,
Yeah.
or a
I'm
couple
kind of
times.
thinking
You've
about
raised other
process here,
issues.
process where we're at here, and are you ready for a motion?
Yeah,
It's kind of not a debate.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
turning
yeah.
into,
Yeah.
yeah. We're gonna close this portion of the public hearing. We know your feelings on this.
Well, I have something that I can contribute.
Well, let's make it quick then.
I'll make it real quick. All my questions and answers have been real quick. 48 years, I owned the largest limousine company in the state of Michigan. I had more cars and changed more tires than anybody who will ever work at this shop will do. Most tire companies, you come in, get your car evaluated if you need tires, other than a flat tire. You order the tires, the company orders the tires for you. They make an appointment for you to come in when the tires come in. They know how long it takes to get the tires. They make an appointment for you. You come in, you bring your vehicle in, the car's in and out in an hour, hour and a half with tires and gone. You're not gonna get a lot of buildup and a lot of off the road because you can schedule. It's all just scheduling.
Okay.
That's how transportation companies do it. I was in the limousine business for 48 years, owned the largest limousine company in the state of Michigan, and Michigan's the 3rd largest market in the world. So I changed a few tires in my day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this portion is closed, and at this point in time, I think we have to think about a motion and how we're gonna handle this. I guess I can make my own statement on my own feelings, is I'd like to see this building used. And I think it's probably been used as a tire repair shop. It's set up for that. I can't think of anything else that it might be used for. So my feeling is to give them a chance with the building. That's just my own feeling, so.
One statement, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lloyd?
So I will state that my concern, while I recognize all the hardships created with the current situation of the business and in the zoning that it's in, my concern is actually more about the possibility of the variance to materially impair the intent of the purpose of the ordinance as it's stated right now, and also that the use variance will potentially alter the essential character of the neighborhood or the intent of the master plan and be a detriment to the adjacent properties. So I'm really focused on those two elements, recognizing the hardship that is created with the business, understanding the history of what it was and what it was intended to be with the acquisition of the business. So I'm stuck on those elements.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, see, you've been through 3 public hearings basically on this, so you've heard a lot of comments that we haven't. What detriment to the neighborhood, outside of what's already there, what are we looking at in your mind?
So it has been vacant since 2018, without the type of business that this is, without the air guns and the hoist and all the things that come along with this type of business in a neighborhood, a community, right? With homes here and there.
Residential.
Right, with residential. That is the impairment, that is the very impairment that the C2 is trying to avoid in that neighborhood type of setting.
On Middle Belt Road, which is, okay.
In-
I just say, I grew up
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Hyde Park.
For
I
sure,
know
for sure.
where this is, and I know when the tire place was there. And I know the jet screaming over 24/7, what noises are there. And I was just making sure I didn't miss something there.
For sure.
All right, that's all right.
Any other comments? If not, then I think a motion is in order. So we can move this along one way or the other.
There is some information on the back of the or the last page of the Carlisle Workman letter, recommendation and findings of fact, which you can take one way and twist another way.
Okay. Right here.
Twist, that's a bad word, sorry.
I remember reading that. I read it before. Item 3 on those recommendations says that the proposed automotive use may have detrimental impacts to adjacent properties to the east. Further, the city master plan calls for the subject property to be single-family residential on Middle Belt Road. And as far as the detrimental impacts to the east, those facilities have been there for how long? Those homes, families?
So, Mr. Chandler, that's where you would take these statements and make other findings. So that's a comment that came here that, that's what you're finding. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
may find this,
I
and you may
understand.
find that. So, but it's just getting those on record.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I make a motion to postpone the decision until we can get more information on the parking plan and also more information on how the business would ensure that they are not a detriment to the surrounding units. Okay.
Through the chair, if I could. I just wanted to add, I know this is a very difficult one, right? And since the moment I walked in the door, since I first heard about that, started talking with them about the building, the use variance, everything, it's a very difficult one. We have, I think this is their third time now at BZA, with the first two being postponed, and I just don't know if we postpone again, then it would be, I don't know where we come to an end with it unless we just unless we're requiring them to go into site plan and do a full tilt review on that side of things. I don't know if we're gonna.
Ridiculous. We already know what the parking situation is.
The parking's gonna be difficult for anything, right? But no matter what, whether it's this business or a different business or whatever, I have the same concerns you guys have. My concern is, A, the parking and circulation, if this was to be approved, which we would have to go through and look at with a site plan reoccupancy, we'd have to make sure the circulation works. They'd have to put the parking on the plan, show us the dimensions, everything like that, before that would get approved, before they would get a C of O, right? Now my other fear, obviously, that's why this is a loaded one, is that I know that the person who was that some of the complaints came before had a ton of, and a few people, the last few people that were tried to be in the building illegally had a lot of enforcements on them. There was a lot of issues. I'm sure they caused a lot of detriment to the residents. One had semi-trucks parked all over the place. They were probably in there late at night. The other one was in there. There was a lot of bad situation going on with that one. So I definitely see this both ways, and I can see why it's such a hard, difficult decision. I completely don't envy your guys' choice on this one. I'd hate to postpone it to come back in a month or two unless we're deciding we want them to go through site plan and have to get an approval on that, at least at the minimum on that side of things.
You know, I look at it this way. If they've got a business operating and they've got cars out there waiting for tires to be put on, it's up to them to manage that parking out there. And in the best interest of their business, to move those cars and not block their own driveway. So it's up to them to kind of motivate those cars, I think.
So,
If they're gonna let that driveway get jammed up with cars, it's gonna be their own poor business management.
what we would maybe want to talk about in that case then, knowing, and you're kind of mentioning, there could be that potential problem, that would be that negative, that detrimental impact to not the residential neighbors, but also the traffic on Middle Belt Road. That's where operations comes in, and how these operations, and this is the ability that you have to do through a use variance. You can establish some operational restrictions that limit to so many cars on the property at a time, hours of operation. All sorts of stuff. We haven't explored that. The applicant hasn't presented. We haven't had, and that's where we were kind of going. It seemed like some of this was these deliberations as to how we could make this work.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No,
I don't mean to
go
cut
ahead,
you
because
off.
you're gonna,
I was just gonna say, and then on the other side of it, that's why I see the back and forth on it, is that if they say the use variance, say it gets approved with a bunch of conditions today, are we going to get that plan that shows that parking and that circulation, and we get the approval from the fire department and from everybody, to be able to actually get the certificate of occupancy? You know what I mean? So it's a
It may
very
not
difficult
work.
one.
Exactly.
It may
not work.
It may not. But on the other hand, we talked about blight and vacant buildings. I work in ordinance. I work hand in hand with ordinance on the PD side. I run building ordinance, and I don't like vacant buildings. I love seeing good businesses in Romulus. I don't like blight. We have upped our enforcement game immensely over the years, and we're working very hard to ensure none of that's happening. So I hate to see a building sitting empty as well. So I understand the difficulty of this request.
We have a motion on the floor.
So we do have a motion on the floor. I would actually like to withdraw my motion.
At this time, to try to get off dead center, I'll make a motion that we grant the use variance based on findings that the property is not developable as a C3 as it stands right now, and it wasn't something they did to cause this. Subject, though, I want to tie in all these conditions. I want to get the parking laid down and developed. I want to see circulation. I want to see contingents on hours of operation. I want to see no storage outside, no work outside the building, and stack up of traffic in and out of the building. So that we know what's going to happen with how many cars we end up on Middle Belt Road, how are they going to control it. Have them explain all this and see if you can make this work. We're not doing a site plan. This is so foreign to me because we have, when we're on planning side, we see all this down on a drawing. And we're trying to make a decision really without a site plan, and we really need one in this situation, pretty much.
So since you started a motion,
Yes.
if you could, nope, that's good, because we can, if we could get a second to it, and then we could maybe offer some friendly amendments. But let's get a second to it,
His motion is to approve the variance request?
subject to conditions.
Yes.
With conditions.
With
those-
conditions.
Yes, with those conditions.
We
Should
have
those be
defined the board.
itemized?
Right, just, if you could just get somebody to second that,
Yeah,
then
okay.
we can offer an amendment to specify some of these conditions.
Okay.
I second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Kathy,
Second by
okay.
Mrs. Hood?
So now we can have discussion on the motion, and we would like to, no, you can read it. We would like to make some suggestions on conditions associated with that approval.
Yeah, and if I may, through the chair, some conditions we talked about, which would be normal for any vacant building that would become occupied and get a certificate of occupancy. They would have to submit a reoccupancy, which would include a detailed use statement with an operations plan, also with a site plan as well that shows the parking and the circulation and everything for outside, inside the building. They would have to get city cert inspections, so we would have to do our inspections, make sure everything's up to code in the building and outside before a certificate of occupancy is issued. The use variance would be only for this particular use, this particular user, Mr. Tire and Brake. And then all permits for any work requiring a permit would have to be pulled through my department, and that would come through the city cert process, and no outside storage.
I would include those in my motion.
Perfect.
Okay, at this time, we have a motion by Mr. McNally, seconded by Mr. Hood, to approve the variance request for Mr. Tire Brakes, and the variance is a used variance. How can I say this? A variance to the use variance, basically.
No,
It
you'd
would
be
just be a use
granting
variance.
approval.
Of the use
you know,
variance.
Use variance approval.
Okay. Whatever you said.
You'd be approving the use
It's a-
variance.
The motion is to
for-
approve that variance request anyway.
Yes, for Mr. Tire, Mr. Tire and Brakes at 6363 Middle Belt, subject to.
Yeah, subject to the
Conditions we
the
stated.
conditions that were described.
Were
Right.
described.
Okay.
We have a list of them here, so.
Any other discussion on that variance? I think we've got it pretty much defined. Okay, at this point in time, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Ms. Hood?
Yes.
Mr. Lloyd?
No.
Mr. Lloyd is voting no. Mr. Gadois?
No.
So we have Chandler, chair votes yes. We have 3 yes votes and 2 negative votes, no votes. So basically, the variance motion has been passed, right? Wouldn't that be?
Wait 1 second. Does use variance require supermajority?
You're the processor.
Question of the day.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. Hang on. go to your zoning ordinance. It's right in your zoning ordinance. I think it might require 4.
I think you're right.
I need our zoning ordinance. Nope. Romulus. Jeff, you can probably do this quicker on your phone than
That'd
I
be a
can do this
majority,
here.
yeah, majority positive, but how does,
I think it's 2/3.
we only got 5 members.
I know what rezoning does, but I know use variance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure use variances are the same. Here, 2/3. A new
Use
tab.
variance is 4 members.
Yes, good, you got the, perfect, thank you, Kathy's got it. It's 4 votes. So unfortunately, yes, you only got 3, so this,
It
they
failed.
didn't get enough votes.
I'm sorry?
There was not enough votes to approve it.
Oh,
It requires, a use variance requires 4 votes,
okay,
2/3.
so that it's failed, the motion.
So the motion has failed.
Okay. Unfortunately, folks, that variance has been denied for that, your request on that. I'm sorry?
You said it was denied?
Yes. Well, the motion to approve was denied.
It failed.
It failed the vote.
I thought you had to have 3 for a quorum out of the
Three is for a quorum,
Yeah.
so that's to hold a meeting, but because this is a use variance,
Yeah.
as opposed
It
to a
would ta-
dimensional variance, it requires 4 votes. It requires 2/3 of them per this.
Anyway, that's the status of the variance request.
He's doing all this rules and
What is our recourse? Which way can we go?
I'm sorry?
What is our recourse? Is there a recourse?
I really don't know what to tell you.
For a variance, I believe it's circuit court. Action within so many days, that's in the ordinance as well. Oh my goodness, this thing is, I apologize, I have a new tablet here and it. It's not working. Kathy, do you have the rules in front of you? Or do you have
Yeah.
the section, the BZA section of the ordinance?
I just, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, these are the rules of procedure. Do you have the zoning ordinance section? Did we print that out for you?
No, it was a link.
Okay, decisions on appeals, here they are, I got them. Use variances. Decisions of the board. Yep, 4 members for a use variance, that's that. Record of decisions, approval period. Appeals to circuit court. So what you would want to do is look at our zoning ordinance at section 22.05 that says appeals to circuit court. Any person or persons or any board, taxpayer, department, or commission of the city aggrieved by a decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals may seek review by the circuit court in a manner provided by the laws in this state, and particularly the Zoning Enabling Act. An appeal from a decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals shall be filed within whichever the following deadlines come first: 30 days after the Board of Appeals issues its decision in writing, signed by the chairperson, or within 21 days after the Board of Zoning Appeals approves the minutes of its decision. So,
Yeah, we got this later, because the minutes aren't gonna be approved for another month.
I would, if you're gonna, I would follow up on this, with legal counsel. I don't want to be given legal.
Asking you to clarify the deadline, 30 days from now, or 21 days from before?
Yeah, we can't be talking about that right now.
Yeah.
We gotta continue with our meeting.
We follow Robert's Rules of Order, so.
Yeah. That part of it's done.
All right, moving on. Item 6 is new business. the first thing, A, is BZA rule of procedure and discussion.
You're actually not getting that tonight. Kathy happens to have it because of getting her new member packet. But that's one of the things that we're going to be discussing. There's some things that came up at this very meeting tonight that we're going to need to be addressing in our rules of procedure. And I'm pretty confident. We have new legal counsel on board. Dave Greco is now the city's attorney. And he will be very helpful in this regard and to be able to get you guys some new rules of procedure. The last time they were updated was 2013, so.
All right, okay, any other discussion on that?
Nope.
B is election of officers. As you know, we lost our chairman, and it's time for election of officers anyway, isn't it? First of the year?
Election of officers is the first of the year.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about when we should do this. And since we have a couple of new members, relatively new, we'd like to just hold off till our next meeting, next month, and give everybody a chance to think about if they would like to be a chairman, vice chairman, secretary, and so on, and who might want to be chairman, and so on. And you can nominate yourself if you wish. But what we're going to do is postpone the election of officers till next month. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're going to do. And I would hope that maybe you'd kind of think about what you would like to do with your future with the board. And item 7, reports and communications. We have the Planning Commission liaison report.
That's a report. The Planning Commission is doing this more. We're pulling out some of our reports for individual reports.
Oh,
So now
okay.
that we have Mr. McAnally, that's the Planning Commission liaison, this is one of the things that's part of the rules of procedure that we're in the process of changing. That what he would be doing is conveying back to you things that he sees at Planning Commission. For example, Buck's Oil that you just conditionally approved last month will require a variance. They need to come before this board to seek a non-use variance, a dimensional variance, to orient the overhead doors towards the roadway. So that application hasn't been filed yet. It could come, no, it's too late, I think, for publishing. It may have been on in March, but it probably won't be on until April. So that's the kind of report as Planning Commission liaison. Either I can give it or you can give it.
No, it's just, we don't want to get into rehashing the whole, but yeah, that's coming, and we did look deeply into why they wanted the doors orientated, or
Right.
the orientation, and how
And
they
it's-
could try to do it
It's more
differently.
for information, for example, just kind of stating that, what it's for, but getting into any kind of deliberations with you, because you are, you do have quorum, and discussing something that's not on your agenda and kind of deliberating on, ooh, what do you think of that? That's not appropriate to do, here, but it's more just for, oh, by the way, guys, you're gonna be getting something from us, we're looking at this, or, some of the stuff, when I convey to you guys reports from Planning Commission on what we're seeing, and sometimes it helps with things, with variances, and something that you guys could convey back to the Planning Commission liaison on if you're seeing a lot of variances that are coming, and like, boy, have you talked to the Planning Commission about possibly looking at that section of the ordinance and getting it changed? So things like that. We're just trying to get good communication between our boards and commissions, so.
I know your meeting's closed. I don't want to interject on anything that was said tonight or the meeting. I would like to thank you for your time and hearing us out, and thank you to your service to our community. Have a good evening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, BZA training. Do you
BZA
think we
training.
need some?
Yeah. We are hot on training for everybody, all the way around.
Well, we got
Jeff's
the-
even gonna go to
Yeah,
some
we got
training.
the email, we got some emails from,
Yep,
Yeah,
we are tonight was one of the hardest cases you guys have ever had. It's very, very, very difficult, and Mr. Lloyd, you did a very commendable job
Yeah.
with doing what you're probably starting to learn in training about getting these findings on the record, particularly with this board. Mr. McAnally certainly knows it from planning. We're big on that, making sure that we get those findings out there. And the training will kind of help with some of that and some of the things to kind of help a little bit more and more that you see cases like this. Again, they can go, we needed, this was a different case, this process, but the training will kind of help get you guys comfortable with things and questions to ask, and you should be, I think the latest one, you're all signed up for the training that we don't have the link yet on. I think it had the payment on it. That should be coming. You do that at your own pace. And if there's any others that you're interested in going to, please let us know. There is a seminar workshop next week being offered on data centers, which the Planning Commission, I think, knows about. Dan, you're signed up for that, right? Jeff and I are both signed up for that. If any of you are interested in that, 2-hour Zoom, let us know. So that's what that's all about.
Yeah, I checked on that link for the MSU class. I'm all the way to the site where I should have my link, and it's because our check hasn't cleared.
Check, right, yep. They're not gonna send you the link until we pay.
yeah.
And unfortunately, we just don't have our own little checkbook. It's gotta go through some processes here, so. But it should be coming soon.
Has everybody had a chance to look at the city planner status report?
Yep.
It's pretty busy.
We are, we actually right now have more complicated projects in all at the same time than we've had in a long time. Mr. McAnally is very familiar with conditional rezonings. We do them around, we've got 4 of them in right now. The Planning Commission saw 2 of them in December. One of them will be back this month for you, Bradford Logistics, which is a central receiving and distribution. It's airport function that's being consolidated and bringing off the airport property and down at the corner of Eureka and Wayne Road in your southern gateway. So we're working on that rezoning right now. Merriman School is being proposed to be rezoned for some self-storage with either a park or possibly some residential in the back. We had a couple of good meetings with the developer this week and talking about some options there. Romulus Trade Center North, which is north of the Amazon, that property, the tower property, you see where those antennas are? Towers, big tall antennas. That one is in for rezoning. Bucks Oil, as we mentioned, is coming or has come and passed and going to be coming to you. Those are kind of the real big ones that are out there right now, and several others, and some that aren't even in yet that we're talking to people about. So it's going to be a busy year.
Sure looks like it.
So were there any of these that you had any questions on? Anything?
I'm just being nosy.
No, that,
Experience, what is Mashco doing
they expanded the whole west side. That's been there for a while. We're getting it into compliance, so they're paving it. They're cleaning it up and paving it. Yep, lot of enforcement. Jeff has been Jeff and his team. So, yeah, so it'll be all,
You know, my wife mentioned to me today that she heard on the news of some major multi-million-dollar project at I-94 and Wayne Road. Does anybody know anything about some major project there?
Could that be Motown, that
might
Motown
be,
development?
there's a billboard down
Well, I was
closer
wondering
to
about
Vining.
that pilot facility.
Pilot, the Planning Commission recommended approval to City Council on pilot, and that is at 94 and Vining.
Yeah. Maybe she didn't get the whole story on it, but it was millions of dollars project at I-94 and Wayne Road area,
Yeah,
whatever that might be.
yeah, it's probably Motown.
I just thought maybe somebody else might have heard something. Okay, moving on. we've had enough, sufficient amount of discussion, I think.
That's it.
Except that I was hoodwinked into believing that most of these meetings last 15 minutes.
This one was difficult. We've been dealing with this for
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
so it was just really hard.
All right, well, number 9 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, motion by Mr. Gadbois, supported by Mr. McAnally. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Mr. Gadbois?
Yes.
Mr. McAnally?
Yep.
Mr. Lloyd?
Yes.
Ms. Hood?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. This meeting is adjourned.